Peace to the family, peace to you and yours, peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Melanin Mondays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pill, reporting live and direct. All right, and we are going to have a beautiful show tonight. Okay, shout out to all of my Patreons in the building, my KT aliens. You feel me? And shout out to all of our new members. We starting to pick up new subscribers. I'm appreciative of that. Salute to everybody in the building. I'm gonna go ahead and do the roll call and let everybody file in. It feels me. Okay. So let's get it popping. Um, a lot to talk about today. A lot to talk about today. I put some things together. I was in the lab and whatnot, putting the finishing touches on the on this lecture that we'll be doing tonight and whatnot. Then I got an email, and the email popped up on my phone inconspicuously. I'm just doing. I'm matter of fact, I'm creating content with the good brother Knowledge to God, Blue Pill. We're making a classic episode and whatnot, and then I get an alert, and when I look at this alert, it's a message from the people at Google, the parent company of YouTube. And when I click on the email, it says, "We have removed your video from our platform due to violations that include," I don't know what it said. I'm going to read it for you guys. And what they were referring to is the video that we did earlier today, which actually is the Melanin Monday pregame. So it was removed by the folks at Liar Cohen's front office, right? Just to give you a little bit of insight as to some of the things that are taking place, you know what I'm saying? When y'all are, handling your business and doing things, these people are utilizing these algorithms, you know what I'm saying, and other things to censor on levels that I haven't seen in a very long time. I'm gonna keep it real with you. They turned that censorship algorithm up a few notches. You dig? So it's important. It's not just imperative. It's important that we sign up to the Patreon and become paying members, right? At this point in the game, subscribers, not spectators, but subscribers, KT aliens, students of a profound university that consists of a plethora of professors, scholars, and teachers and whatnot. Some would say master teachers, some would say master students. You dig? And the Patreon is a place of edification. I promise you, any of the students in the building will tell you how much value is added on a daily basis on that channel right there, or that platform for that matter. So YouTube is going to do what YouTube does. One of the reasons why I make sure I keep my sword sharpened every month, and I create content that will live forever in the form of digital assets, in the form of these classical lectures that I've been doing ever since 2020, when I started betting on myself and creating a library of assets, digital content that will be worth its weight in gold because of the content that was inside of this content. This is timeless information. Like I told you before, ye are rich because data is gold. And whatever you put down and whatever you created and whatever content you created based off of the context of that content, you will be rewarded in the present and in the future if you know what you're doing, if you know how to move around and whatnot. So my proof of work is on a blockchain, and my proof of work is it's all over the internet, the ethernet, you know, and web3 and all kind of places. So yeah. But you know, we was cooking earlier. You feel me? We was on the stove and whatnot. I'm gonna have that video available on Patreon by later on tonight, though. I'm not letting nobody sway me, and we're not going to be swayed easily. So we keeping it pushing. You know what I'm talking about? That's something small to a giant. I ain't gonna. That's something small to a giant, and I put in the appeal. So, shout out to the malls out there. I need some malls on my where's the legal counsel? I need a team of some people who could walk up in Google and make things happen. Cause promise you, I'm literally ready to do some things like that. I'm ready to go get the picket signs, or I'm ready to have the demonstration, the press conference with the mics and whatnot, and form Voltron and pull up in Palo Alto at the Google offices and go live. Like I'm literally ready to do some things like that. I'm ready to go to Meta and Google and state my case. Y'all owe me about $1 billion. And this ain't even a class action. This is personal. Y'all owe about $1 billion because y'all been blocking so many blessings. You feel me? But yeah, we gotta see them, man. But before we do that, we need a team of legal eagles and whatnot who could perch, and swoop down and do some of that early. You know what I mean? You got to clean up the foot soldiers, and you gotta make sure that the field is right before we step on it. You feel me? But yeah, man, that's the life of the pillar. We was cooking earlier. I promise you, I like those early shows. And I was having a discussion with the audience earlier. It was like 400 people in there. It was kind of litty. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that bought your tickets for Winning Rome. That was very mindful of y'all. That was very thoughtful and whatnot. Shout out to everybody that went and purchased their tickets based off of that YouTube. So all was not lost. Mission accomplished. You know what I'm talking about? The mission was to get the people to be in the building when we pull up on Sunday. This Sunday, family, this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Me and Blue Pillar and the one and only Vicky Dillard will be in the building, y'all. We will be in the building, and it will be a monumental event. I promise you, it's going to be a lecture that you cannot miss. Okay, it is going to be a lecture that you cannot miss. We don't miss. We don't miss. We putting classics out here. Every single one of these classes and lectures that we've done going back to 2020 and even before that, going all the way back to 2009 with Blueprint 322 that went viral, back when viral was something. Okay. So we following up a series called When in Rome that we started in 2017. And if you watch any of the content in any one of those series, you are going to see what I'm talking about. You will see pillar prophecies. You will see high level information given out at times when information was not given out on YouTube and in places like that. There wasn't 100 different people saying the same thing. There was a few that were putting it out there. So this narrative is what we still see today because we are part of this thread, and this thread is unroll is it is unrolling, unfurling, revealing itself. Things are becoming clear now. When in Rome, the J.A.S.O.N months, the next July, August, September, October, November is sure to be a time that you are going to want to be prepared. You are going to want to know what's going to happen. You are going to want to have some type of foresight. And that's what you're going to get with Vicky Dillard. That's what you're going to get with Red and Blue Pill. As a matter of fact, just to make this thing real, you know what I'm talking about? Just to make this thing official, right? We will have Vicky Dillard in the building mañana. Okay. We are doing a show in the daytime at 4 p.m. and Vicky Dilla is going to be our guest. So make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Make sure you have subscribed to this channel. Okay. So you can benefit off of the delivery, what it is the medicine that she is going to deliver. Okay. Because she's coming through tomorrow. And I promise you, just even based off of the title, I don't want to let the title go right now because we still making a flyer. But I promise you, just based off of the title, when you see the flyer, you're gonna be like, nah, I gotta be there. I gotta be there live, you know. So that is mañana, Tough Talk Tuesdays. Tough Talk Tuesdays. We will have Vicky Dillard on YouTube, me and Blue Pill. And I look forward to seeing y'all. That's gonna be some daytime flexing. All right, some daytime flexing. Make sure you hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you hit the like button. You dig? Blessings, blessings. You feel me? Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit the subscribe button. I have a goal. I talked to the knowledge of God. I said, if I need 1 million subscribers, why? Because fortunately and unfortunately, the 1 million number, that's just the basis of where it starts out on YouTube right now. The numbers, men lie, women lie. These numbers don't. So to have the type of effect that needs to be had when people say, Brother Red, what can we do to help? Brother Red, what is it that needs to be done, Brother Red? Brother Red, how can we make a change? Brother Red says, look, Brother Red is under attack. You know what I'm talking about? Brother Red is getting hated on by $1 billion companies because Brother Red and Brother Blue and Brother Purple and Brother Green, we've been beating up Babylon for as long as you've known us. And before you knew us, we was giving them black eyes. But we really shaking the pillars of the matrix and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? These Negroes went ahead and they had the caucasity to say that my content, right? And my content, if anybody was in a live today, please be counted and let them people know that we was cooking and the cooking that we were doing, that we were partaking in, it was not of a negative sense. We were not using profanity. None of the trigger words that people are familiar with that get you spammed and whatnot, none of that was being used. It was actually a precursor to tonight. Okay. And for some reason, while I'm outside, you know, pursuing, my mission and whatnot, creating content and making a classic, I get the email that they going ahead and taking my content down. And I'm like, whoa, you know. So they're like, they did this to me last week and I appealed, by the way. This happened last week and I appealed. That's why I'm saying there's somewhat of a targeting and a censorship campaign, you know what I mean? And that's fine by me, right? It's all good. You know what I'm talking about? There's nothing that you could do about being in somebody's house and these people don't, these people have they hating on you in the house, right? It's all good. Like I said, we have KTL Plus. Okay, we have KTL Plus. This is not where it begins and this is not where it ends. I promise you. You feel me? I'm gonna show you where the KTL Plus is. We have a whole nother situation. So YouTube, they like to censor. We understand. Liar Cohen and them, they running the show over there. So they do what they do, you know? They do what they do. And that's why we are 10 steps ahead of what they do. And we put ourselves in better positions. So, boom, here we go. So, this is KTL Plus. This is programmed television, right? So, this plays at a certain time of a day and it plays more than once a day. All right. And we have about 72 hours worth of material that we have looping, right? And you could watch this on your Roku TV. You could watch this on Apple TV. You could watch this on your Google Play, and you could watch this on your Fire Stick. Okay, this is KTL Plus, and we got millions of weekly viewers now, right? These are different channels, and these different channels have programming. Okay, and this programming is program and content that you don't. This is not YouTube only stuff. This is content from around the world. All right. And it talks about a lot of different things from a lot of different niches. And that's a whole new audience and a whole new crowd and a whole new demographics and a whole new conversation taking place because content is king, and advertise and ad dollars is even bigger king. Okay, so something that they never told us on, or I don't know, yeah, they didn't tell people on YouTube. People are not, they don't educate the content creators and the quote unquote people who are making content on these channels or these platforms, these $1 trillion platforms, right? These platforms that are making billions of dollars and trillions of dollars off of advertising, right? They don't want you to know that you can do that too. So this is an OTT platform. We have a lot of opportunity that is arriving from this. We want to share the wealth, and we want to assist brothers and sisters in this community who are content creators to actually get your worth and not settle for the pennies and whatnot, and not to allow yourself to continuously be fleeced by Rome while you sit around and you just give them your energy and you give them your likeness and you give them everything and they give you nothing. And this is a vicious cycle, and people just go in circles, and then we get into victimhood consciousness and we lose sight. So moving forward, um, you know, content creators allow YouTube to have all of the power, right? Content creators let them have all of the power. When in Rome, let it fall. That's right. I didn't do the roll call. Let us get into the roll call before we get into the show. Yes, Vicky is definitely going to shut it down. That's a fact. You know what I'm talking about? Vicky is going to shut it down tomorrow. We have the link for the show in our description. All of my KT aliens from Rainbow Opal and up, you have a free ticket coming your way. You will be in the building. There's perks in the membership. Okay, that is a part of the perks. So the Rainbow Opals and all the way up, you will be in the building. Look out for your link the day of the 30th. Y'all are good. You know what I'm talking about? For everybody else, the link is in the bio. We made it very affordable because we know the economy is doing it got wobbly knees. It's doing the Meg the Stallion right now, So definitely respect to everybody that was getting their tickets earlier. We also gonna send you the free American Gods 8. That was the agreement that we are going to give them, the American Gods right here. Boom. It's 4-part series. Okay. So anybody who buys the ticket tonight, you're going to get one of those 4-part series as a bonus with your ticket. Okay. It will come to your email and you'll be able to sign up to our Podia site where we house all of our content. Okay. This is the KTL University website, and you will be able to have access to American Gods 8, which is the precursor actually to what we have coming up on Sunday, which is When in Rome. And then after When in Rome, I'm going to give you Fear of a Blackamoor Messiah. And then we're going to get into Facts 24 initiative. And we taking off. We're going to get into the solutions, and we're going to get into something a little bit more nation building and more political, very political, right? Very political, but not dealing with either one of those political parties. I'm talking about politics as usual. Okay. I'm talking about hood politics. I'm talking about the program. So look forward to that. All right. I'm just giving you the roadmap. Everything is done intentionally. Okay. Please believe me. Everything is done intentionally. And like I said, content is king. And the fact that we're able to catalog the things that have been happening over the past quote unquote, just let's, I'm not even going to count the YouTube videos, the thousands of those going all the way back. But let's just speak on the KTL University lectures that I've been doing over the past few years and whatnot. It plays, I'm no, let's go all the way back to 2017 in Boston when we started winning Rome series. And they had the snowpocalypse that weekend. And it started snowing out of nowhere. And it didn't stop for about 3 weeks. I promise you. It wasn't on the radar. Called it the snowpocalypse. That happened as we were on the microphone breaking down winning Rome in Boston, of all places. You know what I'm talking about? In Boston, of all places. So here we are at the height of things, and it is a beautiful sight to see because everything is going according to plan. All right. We got Louisiana in the building. Louisiana, if we come to the Essence Fest and do a pop out, will y'all pop out and show niggas? If we do a pop up in Louisiana during in New Orleans during the Essence Fest, which is the 4th of July weekend, will y'all pop out and show up? You know what I mean? I want to know from my Louisiana family because we got invited. They reached out to us. They gave us an invite. They want us to pop up and show the Nagas and whatnot. So we want to know from the audience, because keep in mind, even though this is a new channel and it's 5% of what the original audience might have been, right? It's the not the people that I have access to now. Y'all are the ones who are going to hear about these things that are going on more so than anybody else. And these videos are doing good numbers, so it's getting in front of a lot of people. But y'all are the ones who, when we're talking about something that's happening, we're talking directly to you because we need y'all to be able to either engage with it or pass it on to somebody who you know will engage in it, because everything is not for everybody. But if you're hearing this information and I'm like, yo, on this date, this is what we doing, and we popping out, and we need y'all to pop out, let somebody know. You might not even be from New Orleans or Louisiana, but you got a whole bunch of people in your group that is. Let them know that we popping out, because this one is going to be very, very, very spiritual. You know what I'm talking about? This is going to be a very mystical situation in New Orleans when me and Blue pull up to that. Memphis, all right, by way of Omaha, Denver in the building. We got Mississippi in the building. We got Memphis in the building, family. Okay. We got Jamaica up in this thing. Shout out to Jamaica, T Dot. We got Toronto, Richmond, North Kakalaka, the Bay to LA, Greensboro. We got Rome, Georgia. When in Rome, Georgia, Canada, Shreveport up in this thing, Hawaii. What's good, Shreveport? What's happening with the 50 Cent movie building? We need updates and whatnot. We're gonna send you a press pass so you could start live streaming and giving us direct contact to everything that's going on in Shreveport from a film perspective, from a creator's perspective. We want to know, we want to take notes and whatnot. We want to know what they doing out there and how fast the change is taking place. Because I see 50 Cent, aka Curtis Jackson, you know, on the surface, from what it's looking like, it looks like he's making a lot of moves, big moves, real quick, and I'm impressed by that. Right? There is a man who made transition from Stonecrest, Georgia, who he made moves like what 50 Cent is doing in Shreveport. This man made those same moves in Stonecrest, Georgia, and he brought a lot of that land up. I'm talking about a lot of land, thousands of acres. This is a billionaire by the name of Bill Allen who just made transition, and we'll talk about that tonight. All right, rise in power to his spirit. All right, Redondo Beach, Killicali. Okay, New Brunswick, New Jersey. We got Sanford in the building. We got Mississippi in the building. You dig? Yes, sir. Nashawn, we got ATL in the building by way of Connecticut. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Yeah. Let's pop out and show them. You know what I'm talking about? This is a red summer. This is the summer of isolation as well. How many people see the moon outside of their window and they can feel the energy of the moon? It's been working on them and for them and through them. That moon is lit right now. Strawberry moon. Talk about it. Florida is up in this thing. Florida. What's going on, Florida? Shout out to Duval. Shout out to Tampa. Rising power to the rappers, the drill rappers, and all of the young brothers out there caught up in that street war. H-Town, Atlantic City, Culver City. All right. We in the building tonight. Okay. All right. I see what y'all trying to do. I see what y'all trying to do. I ain't mad at you. Yeah, the moon is vibrating. It's been yellow and big and full. You know what I'm talking about? You might want to do your libations. That new moon energy is definitely litty. So we're going to cook tonight, right? I don't want to keep nobody up and I don't want to hold nobody up. I just want to teach, you know. I just want to get my information out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of information to get out. So let's get to it.
This bill mandates the display of the 10 Commandments in every classroom in public, elementary, secondary, and post-education schools in the state of Louisiana. Because if you want to respect the rule of law, you got to start from the original lawgiver, which was Moses.
That's right.
Amen. All right.
God gave, Moses received.
That's right. He got his commandments from God, and then he wrote them on for us. All right.
So as you can see in this Win in Rome series, before I even begin, for my Instagram, put MM in the chat if you want to get the link for this lecture that we got coming up on Sunday. If you know that you're going to be in the building and you bought your ticket already, please drop a 1 in the chat. Please drop a 1 in the chat. Let me know if you got yourself your ticket already. It is Vicky Dillard. It is Red Pill. It is Blue Pill. We are on Zoom on Sunday at 8 p.m. It is recorded. It is going to be available for replay forever. It is going to be a powerful lecture / masterclass. It is entitled Win in Rome, the J.A.S.O.N months. And the J.A.S.O.N stands for June, July, August, September, October, November. Okay. Which will happen to be election season. Okay. If y'all get the link, let me know. Let me know on the Instagram if y'all getting the link. You dig? Check this out. The military draft shows U.S. states women may be automatically signed up. Okay. So I know we had this conversation and I did a video about the draft that's coming, right? And some of the ulterior motives behind this draft. Wait, hold on. Let me put this music on, man. We're gonna cook, man. Let me give my background, man. Every super villain needs soundtrack. Oh, I know we started, and I had some people in my inbox, and they were like, "Yo, there's nowhere in the draft that it mentions anything about the ladies." And I said, "Family, reading is fundamental." You know what I'm talking about? Because if it don't show up on Google, some of y'all don't believe it. But I was like, "Nah, it's an equal opportunity, man." You know what I'm talking about? This draft is going both ways. This army, they already got women in the army serving the front lines. They made their breakthrough. You know what I'm talking about? So they bringing everybody into this one. Oh, this shit gonna be like the club. Super litty. Now, me and somebody was having a conversation about what's the spiritual implications of the draft. And what we were saying was that generation called the TikTok generation that fall between the ages of 18 to 26, that they're going to say that they're going to automatically register, regardless of what this conversation or this language sounds like. Automatically, I hear, we sending you niggas to a war, a one that we're cooking up right now with, Russia and everybody else disaffiliated with them, along with some other people. Okay? Because they literally, they on the brinks of getting green lit from a lot of Islamic states in Muslim countries, based off of the fact that they're fighting mad proxy wars. So they're about to put a lot of people in harm's way. But spiritually speaking, when you have a generation of children and young men who need discipline, who need purpose, who need training, who need somebody to yank them up out of that motherfucking that chair and whatnot, or off the couch. We know spiritually they need that. However, I would not recommend that they get it through the lens of Uncle Sam in this new day and age of the quote unquote armed services, where they're struggling for numbers. Because people ain't buying into that shit no more. And they not willing to fight for people who ain't fighting for them. You dig? So they like, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and start trimming these numbers, because ultimately it is about depopulation. We showed you that with the C-19 and a whole bunch of other things. This bickering that we're doing about climate change and it's too hot on the planet, they're like, yo, it's too many weaves on the planet. There's too many people farting on the planet. They blaming the cows, but they also blaming you, fam. When they say that when they have this conversation about the carbon footprint and climate change and the fact that people who eat meat, they need to cut that down because they can't keep up with the consumption of meat. People who are considered to be useless eaters, people who owe the IMF too much money and debt to even pay back. All of these things, the people who are taking up land that these people want to colonize and live on and turn into resorts and goddamn WeWorks. Like all of that stuff. So they're like, yo, we want to send the youth through this ringer, through this quote unquote machine and whatnot, and turn them into, some good old boys. And yes, the war will be fought like a video game. It already is being fought like a video game. They are looking for the video game, or what they call the gamers, and they are looking for the streamers, and they're looking for people who can operate these drones and these systems and whatnot. Is going to be AI and co-pilot with you. So it's not going to be too much of a physical thing based off of how they're already doing it. They are, as you can see, there's drone attacks. They have drones attacking shit. Okay? They got drones setting shit off. They're fighting a game with a controller. Right? They got gamers, this body and shit, and they don't even know that they body and shit. They might got people doing simulation games, but they're really manning an exoskeleton or a robot or a humanoid or some type of quote unquote special force. And as they're playing this simulation game, they're really wiping out villages. I know that they doing shit like that right now. I know they doing shit like that right now. And what we do know is that they have rooms full of people flying drones and whatnot. And some of these people are flying drones where they put the simulation on and they don't even see some of the things that they're destroying or blowing up or exterminating and whatnot, just to help them with their PTSD. Yeah, I heard that. So like I said, These pieces on the chessboard are beginning to move closer to one another rather than further away from one another when in Rome. The acceleration is in alignment with the quantum quickening, but goddamn it, this shit picking up. This shit picking up like a streetwalker running from a gorilla pimp. It's picking up every other day. You know, every other day is something. We going into the J.A.S.O.N months. We're not even there yet, but the stage is set. You feel me? The stage is set. Set is set. Okay. Let's continue. So back to what we just saw. Hold on, my bad. When fascism comes to America, it will be wrapped in a flag and carrying the cross. The two states that I will project that are going to lead the charge with Project 2025 and the quote-unquote Christian nationalist militarization of the Americas, or the USA after Donald Trump becomes president, Louisiana and Texas are going to be the ones leading the charge. These evangelical Christian Zionist states or states of mind and whatnot, they are making the moves to create the Christian version of the Islamic Sharia law, right? They're moving to turn this into a Christianized or a Zionized Dubai and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? They're going to radicalize their quote unquote their people, especially underneath the leadership of Donald Trump. And you're going to see white nationalism on a scale that you've never seen before. Okay. So King Simon said the J.A.S.O.N months actually start in June as the summer solstice comes. And it's been lit ever since the quote unquote, whatchamacallit, it's been up ever since the solstice started. You feel me? You write an exact on that one. So we're seeing these states move very closely towards the Christian nationalism, and as you can see, they have the
secondary and post
commandments
education schools in the state of Louisiana. Because if you want to respect the rule of law, you got to start from the original lawgiver, which was Moses.
Amen.
All right.
God gave, Moses received.
That's right. He got his commandments.
There's so much more to this.
Wrote them on for us. All right.
And like I said, we're just showing you tidbits of when in Rome. We're showing you examples of the falling of this empire, right? This right here is the Albanian
Straightforward your
prime
question.
minister.
Yes, Albania has recognized Palestine long ago. And to give you a little background, Albania was a communist dictatorship. And our dictator was one of the closest friends and allies of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, and of Yasser Arafat. And on the other hand, our regime was very viciously against three major devils: the United States, Soviet Union, and Israel. So, in other words, American imperialism, Soviet social imperialism, and Jewish Zionism.
You got Russia and North Korea pulling up, right? Pulling up.
I came in this business saying I was going to expose.
The head of one of the oldest institutions on Earth on Friday issued a warning about the future. Pope Francis told G7 leaders that artificial intelligence must never gain the upper hand over humanity. He said AI represented an epochal transformation for mankind.
Condanneremo l'umanità un futuro.
Pope Francis here in Italy. He's traveled from St. Peter's Square to take part in these G7 talks for the first time as leaders tackle the ethical issues of artificial intelligence. The Pope has spoken out about what he calls the perverse dangers of AI after being the victim of a deepfake photo last year. That image showed him in a full-length white puffer coat. Pope Francis says in the wrong hands, artificial intelligence could lead to disturbing scenarios and is calling for countries to sign an...
In his remarks, he said that AI risked undermining human dignity and, in particular, condemned its use in warfare. Referring to what he called lethal autonomous weapons, he urged leaders to ban their use, saying, quote, "No machine should ever choose whether to take the life of a human being."
Wars drive advances in technology. The longer a war drags on, the greater the push for innovative tech to drive results on the battlefield. The First World War gave us tanks, the Second World War, the atomic bomb. Today, the world is witnessing two major wars, Israel's war in Gaza and Russia's invasion in Ukraine, and artificial intelligence has entered both these battlefields. AI is being used by the soldiers fighting these wars. Or you could say, AI is the new soldier in these wars. Israel's AI soldier is called Lavender. It's a killing machine. It spits out lists of targets.
According to Israeli investigative journalists at 972 Plus magazine, Israel has been using an artificial intelligence machine called Lavender to identify thousands of potential Hamas targets in Gaza. The report says Israeli intelligence sources who served in the current war told how Lavender collects information on almost all the 2.3 million residents of the Gaza Strip through a system of mass surveillance, and on a scale of 1 to 100 gives a likelihood that each person is a member of the military wing of Hamas. Being in a WhatsApp group with a known militant, changing address frequently, or swapping phones every few months could all be factors in the machine determining potential targets to kill. The report claims that after...
Do you understand the implications of what that says? That there are AI programs being trained right now in real life scenarios, real life battles, real life war, right? And these AI systems are determining a kill rate on civilians, right? This is how people in Palestine is getting knocked off left and right. Is coming up with a social credit score to say whether you are deemed to be an enemy of the state, to be to be unalived, right? To be targeted, or if they're going to let you live. And I'm showing you how it begins when they're shadow banning people, when they're coming up with all of these violations and stuff. This is them targeting. This is them you know, these are the same. So this machine or this system is being ran in this situation. However, it will be for sale. It will be for export. It will be for other regimes. So when they start moving into civil wars, things of that nature, understand that everything that you see going on with these people, for everybody who have questions about what it has to do with you, why should you care? What you see these people going through in this quote unquote, like I said before, this is an open air weapon show. They are showing off new technology, new weapons of warfare. This is that Lords of War movie. They utilize real cadavers, real carnage, real people in this demonstration. But if they're selling this technology to the rest of the world. Thank you for the cash apps coming in. I appreciate that. Like I said, this channel is funded by the people, okay? And as you can see, this channel goes through a lot to stay here, to give you people, to give the family information that you won't get anywhere else.
October the 7th.
So on a world stage, in front of developing nations and in front of reporters and in front of the world, this man got up there and started capping. Okay? So I can't take anything that he says seriously. This is all window dressing. You understand? So yeah, let's pause it right there. I don't want to go too far into the lecture. Like I said, these are some videos that I want to play, but like I said, if they're watching the page and they throwing all of these clips on it, I gotta be mindful of that. Y'all understand that, right? I hope y'all do. You did. This is some good information. Let me just.
Brainwashed and used Hitler to bring in the brown coats, brown shirts, and laws against the Germans. Loans with the Red Cross and was tired of control Germany and knew 0.0 the world for.
Somebody just sent me the ridiculous video from Ken.
Files down Shiak are now coming.
This video right here is the Rothschild. They have a Rothschild movie.
I'm an Orthodox Jew, and I've known Drake for over 15 years.
Yeah, when they say that word right there, that shit's kind of hot in these streets. You gotta be careful. Yeah. So what we see going on in the realms of entertainment, what we see going on in the realms, or rather the theater of government, what we see going on in the realms, or rather the theater of just society in and of itself, right? It's there's a shift that is taking place that is undeniable to ignore, right? And this shift is beginning to play out in many different sectors. You feel me? Of course, one of the more recognizable shifts that has taken the attention or grabbed the attention of people around the world is the shift in the music, or the king of hip hop, of the music industry, right? There was a crowning that took place the other day where Snoop Dogg, who many consider to be the father, or the highest ranking member, or rather, let's just say the kingmaker of the West. Okay. He's one of the kingmakers. If he says that you are who, he says that you something, then that's what you are, especially on the West Coast. Okay. So Snoop Dogg came through and said Kendrick is the new king of the West. Right. So for the people who are questioning, what does this battle have to do with anything, it's a distraction. There's more things to worry about, right? I would say to you, man, like I would say to you now, like I've said before, right? Who amongst us, and you could say that this is a sad state of affair for Black people, right? But in that term, you actually you kind of said why we are in this state by the word Black people, right? They have us in a status, and they have us in a condition, and they have us in a mind state, and they have us all kind of ways where we are not recognized for our power. But this one group of people are being recognized for their power and their talents, right? And these groups of people, these rappers, they have more influence, it seems, right? On a global scale, right? Not just in terms of being popular and whatnot. They have an influence, and they have a presence. And the king of the West, King Kunta, right? is being celebrated. And what we're seeing and what we saw the other day, right, was the victory lap. Okay. Kendrick Lamar is on the victory lap. You dig? He's on a victory lap. And that victory lap is taking him around the world. I believe that he will be on tour very soon because he put on a master class and he put on a true hip hop demonstration. Keep in mind, he's from the West Coast. He's a king of the West, right? And the kings die in the West. Tupac, Biggie, Nipsey, Pop Smoke. I could go on for days. But the West, Kobe. But the West is where the kings come from. So we have a new king of the West. And by being the king of the West in the 50th year of hip hop, keep in mind, we're still in the throes of the 50th year of hip hop. We had demonstrations on the East Coast. This is a West Coast demonstration. That was a ceremony, and that was a coronation, and that was a war dance, and that was a victory lap that you just saw on Amazon Prime. Okay. Kendrick and friends, what they call the pop out. Yeah, that right there, ladies and gentlemen, was a war council, war dance. But if you're familiar with anything in the powwows, or if you're familiar with any type of Aboriginal traditions, ancient, what we would call Paleo American traditions, okay, you would see them doing the same dances that they were on those stages doing, that they call now the blood walk and the crip walk. But you saw a master class of showmanship. You saw a master class of MCing, master of ceremony, because you also saw people up there who were rapping, right? And there's no disrespect whatsoever, because caterpillars have to be caterpillars before they become butterflies. You have to have a level of what to measure yourself by when you become great. So kudos to all of those artists who came out on that stage and represented and answered the war. He made a war cry. He made a call. They say, yo, we answered the call and whatnot. He put a call out there as a general, right? He picked up where Nipsey Hussle left off. That is what you saw taking place in California, regardless if you want to be judgmental, and if you want to, start looking at him being with gang members or something like that is something that's beneath you and whatnot. I would ask you to, you're entitled to your opinions. However, what I'm speaking about is the symbolic, right? The symbolism. I'm speaking about the symbolic gestures of what it is when you bring gangs, warring factions, right? Who hip hop, remember, because this is a hip hop conversation, because these are hip hop stars who are speaking to their global audience. So in the eyes of the hip hop audience, they see the gang members as a potential standing army. They see the quote unquote street organizations as something that they fear. They have a certain type of reverence, and they have an understanding that these people are quote unquote, these people have a level of importance, right? And if they had their minds, if they had a leader, and if they had a program that they were following, right? And if they had some leadership, they would be a standing army who would be able to carry out missions, and they would be able to carry out what they need to carry out when it's getting carried out, right? But these street organizations and these gangs originally started with a purpose. So I believe in cycles. So the fact that we can have a cycle to whereas these street organizations get back to their original purpose, Bloods, the acronym, brotherly love overriding oppression and destruction, and Crips, acronym, Community Revolutionaries in Progress, right? These will be like I vouch for a private military corporation, right? A PMC, right? Imagine if there's some type of civil war that takes place. You will want a PMC, you will want a private military corporation, you will want some people who were they have some type of values and morals. Though you don't want to deal with anybody who doesn't have that, even if they're mercenaries. If they don't have compassion, if they don't have no type of value system, and if they don't have no type of virtuosity, no character, I don't give a fuck who they are and what y'all about to do or where you think you going. You're not going anywhere, and won't nothing happen. So that's what it breaks down to: character, it breaks down to integrity, it breaks down to virtuosity. Who's following those trends? Who's following those virtues? Who are, who's standing on those principles? Who's 10-toe downs on that? And if you were to ask the average person and you would say Drake or Kendrick, they would say Kendrick. Now, the reason why we say Drake's name is because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that this was the biggest artist. This was the archetype for a program. Remember, Aubrey Graham is playing the actor or the rapper Drake, right? These are two different people. Pete Davidson, he exposed that in an interview. He broke that down. He was like, yeah, the Drake that you guys see, he's the greatest actor on the planet, because the guy that I know, he's nothing like that. You know what I mean? But hey, he needs to go to Hollywood because he's really good. So we're talking about somebody who's faking the funk versus somebody who is living the quote unquote lifestyle. It's all about principalities. It broke down into a war on higher principalities. That's how deep it goes with this culture. That's how far this shit is going with the culture. People learn through the culture. People are watered through the culture. People are able to earn through the culture. Right? There are many tenets to this culture. Is multifaceted, but what you saw was a battle for the throne of hip hop. Think Game of Thrones. There is a shift that has to take place, that is taking place, and that has already taken place. Kendrick, Duckworth, Lamar on that stage in the forum officially kickstarted and picked up what Nipsey Hussle put down when they gave him his coronation at the State Farm Arena. But they said the marathon will continue. Somebody had to pick up the baton and walk that shit. And the person who did that was Kendrick. He did it in war. He went to war, y'all. He didn't just do it to say, he didn't self-proclaim himself. He didn't anoint himself. He prepared himself for war, and then he went to war. He caught a body without you even seeing him. You did not see him. On some J.A.S.O.N shit. You understand? On some J.A.S.O.N shit. Let me see who's pulling up. Press a 1. Let's get a 1 in the chat. I'm just keeping I'm being mindful about who's put MM in the chat on Instagram if you want to get a ticket for this upcoming lecture this Sunday. It will be recorded. It will be available for replay forever. Okay, you will have it in perpetuity. Okay, it's going to be chock full of information. You might want to break it down like one of those good kale wraps. Right? I see that, people. Okay. And for my Instagram family, you will find the link in the description, and I will drop it in the chat for you as well. All right. I look forward to seeing y'all in the building. I told Auntie Vicky that y'all gonna show up for her, and we're gonna have a wonderful night. We're gonna make history and whatnot. I want y'all to be there and show her support. You know what I mean? And I want y'all to show Blue support too, because Pope Pablo deserves all of the support that he could get, because the brother been out here cooking. I'm talking about majorly cooking. He predicted everything that we're seeing right now. It's important that we do these classes every month so we could put this information out there, because I can't assume that people are familiar with the work that we did in 2010. I can't assume that people are familiar with the work that we did in 2012, 2017, 2020, and all of these things. So we are creating this thread. We are creating these series, this quote unquote body of work, this body of work. And I'm honored to have Vicky Dillard come through with the divine feminine energy, the energy that we need to really topple this thing. You know what I mean? The twin pillars, we do what we do, shifting the quote unquote pillars of the matrix, you know, disrupting the quote unquote narrative, you know, steering the Nebuchadnezzar through this thing. That's what we're doing, the Abeji. But to bring Sister Vicky Dillard in the building and whatnot, you know, the Sybil, okay, the divine feminine, the Sybil on When in Rome, when y'all know that she bangs on Rome religiously. That's what she do. Okay, that's what she do. She been banging on Rome before it became cool to bang on Rome. You know what I mean? She been banging on Rome without somebody having to tell her. You gotta act cool like you Hannibal Barker, that is. You know? When in Rome, you gotta put on like you Hannibal Barker. There's no other way around it. Everybody that we seen who tried to do Rome better than Rome, you know what I mean? They died on their throne. You know what I'm talking about? The poster child for the Black Roman, or the poster child for the child of the Roman, the Morisco, what they call the Little Moor, once they buck broke them, would be like a P. Diddy. Okay? He was the Boule. He was the guard. He was at the guard of the, he was guarding the gate. They were stopping greatness from coming through the industry. They were stopping greatness from manifesting in the business of the quote unquote hip hop industry. Diddy was responsible for that as the gatekeeper. And they have other Seans who are in tandem as well. You know what I mean? This whole thing is falling apart. This whole thing is falling apart. The Vatican is stumbling. You know what I'm talking about? The emperor has no clothes. There's rumors about them replacing Joe Biden with a new candidate. Reshuffling of the deck. There's a debate coming up. I got $1,000 on. I want to hedge the bet. I want to go to FanDuel and make a bet that 100 memes are going to come out of that one debate. I got $1,000 that 100 memes are going to miraculously just grow out of that one debate, because Joe Biden is going to make a super fool of himself about 99 times. I could just see it. And Donald Trump is about to go crazy on him. This shit is going to be one of the most talked about events, and it's going to ignite and jumpstart the J.A.S.O.N months. Okay? Because this year, the J.A.S.O.N months are going to be centered and anchored around the red versus the blue. This J.A.S.O.N month is going to be centered around the red versus the blue. Okay? That's what this J.A.S.O.N month is going to be all about. They're going to create a lot of confusion and chaos. This is chaos magic in real time. I see the writing on the wall. I see Jason Voorhees is outside. You know what I'm talking about? Jason Voorhees is outside. Biden is gonna pardon Hunter. Man, Julian Assange just got released, right? Dude from WikiLeaks that was out there leaking the secrets. So they miraculously just they let him go, time served, right? So I guess he's about to get busy and start doing more leaks. How does that work? How does that work? There's so much going on, you know, so many things taking place. Wonderful that we're cataloging it all and putting it into perspective and putting it into the narrative. So it makes sense, because it all makes sense. And there's nothing to fear but fear itself. False evidence appearing real. You control the narrative. They're going to put Kamala in Biden's spot, most definitely. You see that she's outside more than she's ever been outside before. You know what I mean? She was chilling with Quavo the other day. You know what I'm talking about? Kamala's outside with the high waters on and them ankles that look like the chicken feet that they be having in Golden Crust. You know what I'm talking about? She outside, y'all. You know, Kamala the cat. I want to know who she thinks won the battle. Kamala Harris and Quavo, right? Having conversations about gun violence. You know what I mean? They back in their bag. You know? So I definitely see them propping her up. There are a lot of the algorithm is already set up. They have a Mexico woman, right? Mexico has a woman. Italy has a woman. So there are multiple women in seats of leadership, and the Kamala thing would make sense. You feel me? They have enough data right now to make that thing happen. India, right? That whole Indian, there's a lot of Indians, and the Indians are at the top of the quote unquote bracket or the tax bracket and whatnot. They're the most, you know. So there's Kamala and Quavo. I don't know what they were talking about. I'm assuming it was, you know, about the gun violence that took Quavo's life. You know what I mean? And you know, it's like it's a favor. You know, it's her trying to get out there and make herself relevant with the hip hoppers and whatnot. And you know, it's called PR. It's going to serve its purpose and do what it does. There's nothing that Red Pill could say that's going to change the minds of some children who see their favorite rapper chilling with Kamala Harris, and they're like, man, she's standing up for Takeoff. I love it. You know, that's a PR campaign right there. But I see the shift that's taking place. You know, I want to see more debates. I want to see Cornel West debating Robert Kennedy Jr. I want AI to fix his voice. You know what I mean? I would like OpenAI to step in and do something to fix Robert Kennedy's voice box. At least, you know, the recordings afterwards. It's all about post-production in this content creation era that we're in. But I want to see the Trump and the Joe Biden, just for the shit and the giggles. You know what I mean? This is the theater. This is bread. You know what I mean? They're feeding the people bread. Okay? While they are surrounding the castle and they are going to attempt a siege. They surrounding this shit. You know what I mean? The people that are moving around BRICS, Russia, China, Korea, Like they're circling the prey. So this is going to be a very interesting conversation tomorrow. I look forward to it with the sister Vicky Dillard. Y'all make sure y'all in the building for that. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can get a notification when we go live. We are looking at 4:44 p.m. Eastern, 4:44 p.m. We will have Vicky Dillard in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Mañana on Tuesday. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, then we're gonna have her at 4:44 p.m. today. If you're listening to this years later, we had her at 4:44 on June the 26th. Okay, 2024. But yeah, Trump might drop out the debate. They need to have all the candidates on the stage debating. Oh, they would never do that at this point. Hell no, they would not give nobody no airtime standing next to Donald Trump. It's red and blue at this point. Nothing else. It's a red and blue situation. You're going to see the amplification of all things red and blue. Of all things red and blue. Red and blue Kachina. Democrat, Republican. Blood and Crip. You're going to see it all. We're going to, man. Yeah, we're going to lay it out. We're going to lay it out for y'all. I look forward to Sunday. I'm excited about that. I'm enthusiastic. I don't try to get all giddy and whatnot, but, you know, this is my therapy. You know what I'm saying? Dropping these gemstones. You dig? So we are going to dial it down a bit, you know. Had a good show tonight. You know what I'm talking about? We had a good show. We was able to cover some things. I wanted to talk about the rapper Julio, but I talked about him twice already, so I don't want to overdo it, you know. But I do want to say that I was studying, you know, I was going through all of the information surrounding him, and you know, the brother, it was giving me Jason Voorhees vibes, like the whole storyline of Jacksonville, the young brothers in Jacksonville going through their street war. Yeah, it was definitely giving me the vibes of a Jason movie. You know, that shit is scary. That thing that they that war that they got going on, and the things that they out there doing to each other, and the foulness that they're desecrating the dead and whatnot. It was crazy. So I want to leave it and talk about this man before we turn it down tonight, and before we bid you farewell, or until next time we meet. You know what I'm talking about? I want to speak about this man right here who I had the pleasure of meeting. Okay. And this is Mr. Bill Allen. All right. Mr. Bill Allen made transition on Saturday, the day that Brother Jeff, he had a concert at the New Black Wall Street. I was actually there asking about Mr. Allen. I was asking, and I heard that he had dementia and that he was in a coma. And we come to find out that's the day that he made transition and whatnot. So this is the man who helped build New Black Wall Street. Not only did he help build the New Black Wall Street, but he helped to build out the whole city of Stonecrest, which is basically a melanated city, right? They even called him the Wiz of Stonecrest, right? Mr. Lester Bill Allen in the New Black Wall Street. Okay. So I always have to put people's name. This is a billionaire, y'all. This is a black billionaire. Okay. Not to throw it around, but this brother was a billionaire off of a lot of power moves. He was a very shrewd businessman, and he got his work done. So there's people that are out here who are leaving behind big legacies. He lost his 40-year-old heir to the throne to C19. You feel me? He lost his 40-year-old heir to the throne to C19. Just to give you, some context to what I was saying earlier about this biological war that they had already launched against the people. There has a lot of quote unquote casualties. You feel me? And people, it's upended a lot of people's, lives and their quote unquote just their whole genealogy, just their whole legacies and whatnot, their families. And that's what war does on bigger scales. Okay. That's what drafts and wars and world wars and all of these things that they are having rumors about, that it does that on a larger scale. Okay. So, Mr. Allen, shout out to Bill Allen and to his memory and whatnot and what he represented. And yeah, you know what I mean? It's definitely, yeah, definitely up. Yeah. So, with that being said, I am going to bid everybody farewell tonight. You know what I mean? We will be back tomorrow, and then we will be back for Third Eye Thursdays. You might get a sacrilegious Sunday, or you might get a Saturn Day Night Live. It just depends on the time that's available, of course. That's the first one, and the cycle of news. Because, like I said, the Great Divine speaks through signs. And when we made the announcement about winning Rome, we actually told our audience to keep your eyes open for all things Roman that's gonna start popping off and popping up and whatnot. And lo and behold, it's just been a constant stream of these stories dealing with all things Roman. You know what I mean? Which brings me to this right here. Roman ruins are found near the Vatican.
Deep below Rome's streets, an exciting find. Large mosaic floors, 4 or 5 rooms of considerable size, and water tanks, all believed to be the remains of an ancient laundry, a Polonica. Archaeologists say the area once lapped by the waters of the Tiber River was originally where the imperial residences were found.
A very important road passed through this area, the first section of the ancient Via Triumphalis and Via Cornelia, the first suburbs, along which were a series of aristocratic tombs. Then there were the Horti, that in the 1st century BC were the luxury residences of the leading aristocrats of the late Republic and later emperors. Here in particular stood the gardens of Agrippina.
Dated approximately 2,000 years ago, archaeologists say this site would have started out as a residence and then been converted, a rare phenomenon in Rome. But the find isn't welcomed by all. This area is being transformed into a pedestrianised piazza with an underground tunnel for cars, a project that is supposed to finish in December. But this discovery may push that deadline back, as the plan is to carefully study and disassemble the Roman ruins and reconstruct nearby, to allow visitors to understand the entire history of the ancient landscapes of the Vatican area. Charlie Angela, Al Jazeera.
If you were to just look at this article,
all rights included for one flat fee, known as royalties or legal fuss. Published across all markets and platforms. Exploring
just to show a random image, right? This shows you the condition of Rome right now in real time, right? These five stories right here, right? This is on Al Jazeera, so it's not has nothing to do with Rome, right? This is Al Jazeera. So the first article says Russia blames the U.S. for deadly Ukrainian missile attack on Sevastopol, right? And they said that they're going to retaliate as a result of this story right here alone could potentially start and ignite something that has a fall of Rome result. Okay, it could result in the falling or the continuation of the acceleration of the falling of this quote unquote de facto empire in this regime. The second one is the Roman ruins found near the Vatican. Workers unearthed the laundry thought to be 2,000 years old. The third one is Russia summons a U.S. envoy in protest after 4 are killed in a Ukrainian missile strike on Crimea. And they said that they're going to strike back and they're going to get revenge for this, right? Fall of Rome, right? When in Rome. Is the fourth one, Israeli strike of the Daraj clinic in the Gaza City kills the senior health official. So the Roman soldiers or the quote unquote the people who are responsible for bringing Rome down, because Rome was taken over by Vandals and Ostrogoths and barbaric barbarians. So that's exactly what we see right now, that Rome is being controlled by a group of people, you know what I mean? A group of very sinister people, a group of some very quote unquote, uh, I would say, shisty, right? And sinister and shrewd, but also these people have managed to operate in total quote unquote darkness, meaning that they have you looking at somebody else when it's really them the whole time. They got you looking all over the place when they the ones that have been doing a lot of stuff. But we know that the eyes of the world have been opened up since 2024 has begun, and people are seeing a group of people for who they really are. And then the fifth one, of course, hot summer and drought reduce harvest, increase prices. This is one of the other one of the other tenets that that made Rome fall, famine and things of that nature, drought, right? So these headlines just by themselves, I didn't. This is not even these random headlines is giving you a little bit of an idea about what it is that we will be able to show and prove. Like I'm coming with a full presentation. If you read the description on the Eventbrite, matter of fact, let's read the description before we get up out of here. All right, let's read the description. Okay. These are we have objectives and we have key topics that we're going to be discussing for everybody in the building. You know what I mean? We have all of these things ready for you, okay? But we laid it out so you know what it is that you're going to be getting. So, When in Rome, the J.A.S.O.N months is a part of an ongoing lecture series that delves into the parallels between the decline of the Roman Empire, okay? The decline of the Roman Empire and the contemporary challenges facing the United States of America. This session will provide an in-depth exploration of historical patterns, socio-political dynamics, and cultural phenomena, drawing striking contrasts between ancient Rome and modern America. Additionally, the lecture will weave in religious themes and the latest currents in hip hop, offering a multifaceted perspective of societal transformation and decline. What the hell am I thinking? Hold on a minute. Where's my soundtrack? Objectives, historical analysis. Examine the key factors that led to the fall of the Roman Empire and identify similar trends in the current state of the USA. Cultural comparisons. Contrast Roman cultural developments with those in the United States, focusing on decadence, public entertainment, and civic engagement. Religious perspectives. Discuss the role of religion in both ancient Rome and modern America, including the impact of religious shifts on societal stability. Contemporary relevance. Integrate current events in hip hop to illustrate the cultural and social pulse of the present day USA, highlighting themes of resistance, identity, and change. All right. That will be when we dive into the Kendrick, the importance of what we see taking place in the culture, the shift that is taking place in the culture, what resistance looks like, what identity is really about, and what change needs to happen, what change is being changed right now. Key topics: the decline of Rome, the economic troubles and the over-reliance on slave labor, military outreach and barbarian invasions, political corruption and instability, the decay of civic virtue and responsibility, modern America in decline, economic disparities and global competition, military engagements and domestic security concerns, political polarization and governance challenges, societal fragmentization and civic disengagement, religious undertones, the rise of Christianity and Rome and its societal impacts, the shifting religious landscape in America, right? Christian nationalists, okay? Project 2025, right? The evangelical Christians who are considered to be Zionists in America, who are in alignment and who are in bed with the quote unquote Zionists over there. And is it real? Right? These are the people who are preparing to take America into a great divide, a culture war, right? By implementing the Christian right, okay, in America, the equivalent of the Islamic Sharia, the shifting religious landscapes in America. And these are the same people, these evangelicals, who had justifications against the cursed people of Ham. But these are the same people who would do everything in their power to keep you away from the truth of you being the true Israelites and the lost tribe and the chosen people and the ones who were here, they were here before they got here, and the ones who are dealing with all of the right customs and things of that nature, who they're cosplaying, and they're the ones who hijacked and birthright theft, right? Religion as a source of unity and division, hip hop as modern commentary, hip hop's role in reflecting and shaping societal social narrative, hip hop's role in reflecting and shaping social narratives. We will get into that. We will build on that. Key figures and movements in contemporary hip hop, lyrics and messages as modern day parables. We will get into that. We're going to dive deep into that. Discussion points. What lessons can modern America learn from the fall of Rome? How do cultural expressions such as hip hop serve as a barometer for societal health, right? As you can see with this battle with Kendrick, it's helping out people's health, people's mental health, people's emotional health. You have some people suffering breakdowns because they can't necessarily deal with the fact that one of their favorite rappers, the only person that they knew, right, the only rapper that they were familiar with being at the quote unquote sitting in the throne and being at the head of things, they were Drake babies, or what we call little Aubreys, okay, or what we would also call Aubrey's angels. So they don't know a reality where he's not on top, and they don't know what to do with themselves because they thought that Kendrick Lamar's lyrics were too difficult for them because they don't have, but they saw the concert and now they feeling comfortable with riding with Kung Fu Kenny, K. Dot. You know what I'm talking about? Because they coming around, you know what I mean? I'm seeing a lot of people who used to paint their fingernails. They not showing their fingernails off no more. You know what I mean? I'm seeing a lot of people who was on goofy time. They're acting like they want to be a little more disciplined. Remember, the street organizations have 3 tenets that every organization needs. They have a value system, they have a penalty system, and they also have a quote unquote reward system. So there's a rank and file in these organizations. You just not gonna pop out and say that you're doing something and try to act like you running shit and you're not part of the quote unquote rank and file. You have to get in line. Then they have a value system. The people in these members who put in the quote unquote, who follow directions and whatnot, and they are adding value to their set, or they're adding value to their gang, or they're adding value to their nation and whatnot. They get rewarded. All right. There is a reward system. They get rewarded. People see this. People are attracted to this. People see this as a way of life. You know what I'm saying? You could judge it, but you would have to point out, where do you have these things working in your organization and your function? Not to say that it doesn't exist, but these are the building blocks. This is the attraction that people have to certain organizations. We have to see it from an angle of a bird's eye view versus a worm's eye view. Okay? So, we got a lot to unpack. Let me get a 1 for everybody who got their ticket, and we're gonna see on Sunday. And we got Vicky Dillard and Blue Pill in the building. And on Instagram, let me get an MM. If you ready for that link and you got yourself a ticket and you want to get you a free American Gods lecture to go with that ticket today, because we only doing it today. As a matter of fact, for my Melanin Monday people, when you click on the link, you're going to get a discount code that's going to take 15% off the ticket when you put Rome in the checkout. We got a discount code for everybody for tonight. When you put Rome, you will get a 15% discount, and that even goes for my YouTube family. On the checkout, put Rome in the quote unquote checkout, and then you will get 15% off. I'm doing that out of the kindness of my heart, because I definitely want y'all to get this information, because I don't want nobody to be mentally or energetically drained, or mentally drained, or physically drained out by all of the confusion and the chaos that's already taking place, but it's about to really ramp up when this quote unquote election theater, or this political theater, takes the center stage during this debate. And it ain't gonna turn off up until November. But we got the keys. You feel me? We got the keys. We got the answers. We have the quote unquote steps and the methods that you can take to make this shit work for you, to your benefit and to your favor. Because when Rome is falling, you got to ask yourself, who's coming up? When you see this empire and these regimes, getting ready to square off and to cancel one another out, you have to begin to prepare yourself to take that place. You feel me? We have to know what is this epoch of time that we're in. So we have Vicky Dillard. She's going to remind us. She's going to get into this whole spirituality of things. She's going to assure us of the perfection of the time, because it's about time. Timing is everything, and the time is right. And what a time to be aligned. What a time to be aligned. You know what I'm talking about? What a time to be aligned. There's a lot of people who didn't make it this far, and you made it. So what a time. Take full advantage of this shit. You know what I'm talking about? Because you ain't going to be able to do it again. So we'll see y'all out there. All of my patrons.